Hey YouTube, this is Lee Primo of Eat.Health Lee, and this is week 15 of the 1 year meal placement experiment. My week has been great as always. A couple changes since last week. On the blog space, I updated to a new graphing format. So before I was using the bar graph, and now I'm using a 3D line graph. And what's cool about that is you can see the trends in the data if they go down or up. It'll notice on that, makes it a bit more organized, which is nice. Now, regarding last week's comment of having the blood work come in, I had a follow-up with my GP, and she said really the only ones to be concerned that concerned her out of the ones that were abnormal. And again, you can see the abnormal at the blog space. So I'll go ahead and mention them again for you. But the ones that were of concern was the PTH hormone, which is the parathyroid hormone. It's the gland in the neck that sits right on the thyroid. There's about 4 glands. And all of its job is to regulate the amount of calcium in the blood. So when PTH goes up, it takes calcium, from organs such as bones and ensures that the adequate amount of calcium is there at all times, because as we all know, it's a very important function in our body. If our calcium levels drop too low, we could actually die from it. So the connection between the parathyroid hormone and actually it was between my vitamin D levels. Now, my vitamin D levels were not abnormal. They're within the normal ranges, but my vitamin D is actually on the lower end. So it's about 20 points off of what the ideal range is, so still within the normal ranges, but not ideal. And my doctor seems to think, because she looked at all the other results, and there's a couple of things that could have correlated with it, but those were within normal ranges. So she seems to think that once I'm able to raise my vitamin D levels to an ideal range, that the PTH should go back down. So essentially the PTH is kicking on to compensate for the vitamin D. And how this vitamin D helps absorb calcium from our intestines in turn into our blood. So when it's too low, then that is kind of an issue. So the idea with that is in 6 weeks, I'm going to go back. She recommended I go outside a bit more. And on top of that, I use SPF, because I tend to burn very quickly. So I'm the kind of guy that'll go outside and within 15 minutes I become a lobster. So I usually put on about a 30 SPF every time before I go outside. And what I'm going to do is not do that. Here in the Netherlands, we do not get a whole great deal amount of sun. Now it's springtime. It's certainly out more than winter. But she said about 15 to 30 minutes in the sun with bare arms and bare face, I should be able to get my vitamin D levels much higher. She said this is actually the adequate way to get vitamin D levels, as opposed to taking them by pill. It's not as efficient as from sunlight and skin. So that is a great update. Another thing I would like to talk about the results is something called ALAT. And ALAT is a type of reading that medical professionals look into, and has to do with the liver. And it's a way they can see about liver health. So a normal ALAT is 45 units a liter. You want it to be below 45 units a liter. And when I began the experiment, it was certainly much higher. It was much past that point. And now in my second readings, it was well below that point, below the range. So we're in the direction of where it's better. You want it to be below 45, and that is actually a substantial change. And that's actually something that is really good and really cool, because Dr. Lustig, and I'll put his link in the bottom in this video down here, he's an endocrinologist out of the University of California, and he made a lecture on YouTube called Sugar, A Bitter Truth. And what he seems to think, that sugar could be possibly related to a lot of metabolic diseases. There was two other doctors in the 70s, Dr. Ansel Keys and Dr. John Yudkin. And there was a big debate as what was causing a lot of diseases. Was it fats? Was it sugar? And Dr. Ansel Keys was behind fats, and fats won the argument in the scientific community. And that's when in the 90s you saw a lot of products that were fat-free that came out. But Dr. Lustig is a current and present physician, and he, I guess, now backs what Dr. Yudkin said all those years ago. He said people are still getting ill, so obviously to him, the answer fats wasn't the answer, the solution. So now he looked into sugar, mainly sucrose, so that's glucose and fructose, table sugars, and also high fructose corn syrup. And in his video, he gives pretty good professional explanation of why he thinks so. And I find that it's interesting that Joylent has a very reduced amount of sugar. What I'm consuming is around about 33, 34 grams, maybe 38. So between 33 and 38 grams of sugar I'm consuming from the Joylent. And before I was consuming much more. Unfortunately, I didn't account for how much I was consuming before. But at night I would have a 12-ounce can of cola, and that alone contains close to even the threshold of your daily allowance for sugar. So that alone is around 34 grams of sugar. So just one cola. And I would have, of course, other stuff throughout the day that had sugar in it. Sugar's in a lot of foods. If you look at any label, look at the back of it, you'll see sugar, fats, and salts are put in there. And they're put in there for a reason, because without those ingredients, food would taste quite bland. But what's nice about the Joylent is you know exactly how much sugar you're getting every day, because you weigh it out and you look it back and you say, okay, look, cool, I'm getting this amount. So it's interesting to see that my ALAT, my liver function, as those levels have gotten well within normal range, actually like very, very, very good ranges. And this could go along the lines of Dr. Lustig's theory of sugar's impact. Look at the liver too. And within his video, he gives a very good scientific explanation of why he thinks it's a volume issue, that our livers, in a sense, become overloaded by too much sugar. And too much is always the biggest question. And with him, he thinks it does not take that much. So that is actually a very cool thing to note. And within the blog space, I made some graphs. And what I did was I had a increase or decrease by percentage. Because I want to publish this study within a nutritional journal, I can't just go ahead and post the actual percentages on there, which is kind of sorry, because I know it's kind of cool for you guys to see that. But there are some dishonest people out there who would take it for their own. And since I want to get this published, unfortunately, I can't do that. What I mean by increase and decrease, I broke it up into abnormal, normal, and a no percentage change, and I made it into percentages. So within for example, the normal increase, that means the blood levels are within normal levels, and I either had an increase or decrease of percentage. And then on the graph, you see the percentage of the increase and decrease. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know. That's, I think, the best way I can put it for you guys. You guys could see how they either went up or went down. Other than that, it's been great. I'm glad excited to have that data to show you guys. And see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.